regular meeting of the Nelson Police Board. And just want to say it's nice to see everybody and to be back. And I just want to thank all of you that sent along well wishes for my recovery. I appreciate it. It's that mass feeling that helps you move down this road. So I'd like to acknowledge the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Ktunaxa, the Syilx, and the Sinixt people, and is home to the Métis and many diverse Aboriginal persons. We honor their connection to the land and rivers and respect the importance of the environment to our strength as a community. I also this month would like to recognize that this is Black History Month, and I encourage anybody to, well, when you're in this building, you can just walk downstairs. The public library has 2 displays of Black authors and some also works about anti-racism, as well as having a list of both digital and physical books that one could look at. And so hopefully you take the opportunity to expand your knowledge about Black history in BC and Canada. So moving on to item 2 is the consent agenda. So we've got items 2A, B, C, D, E, and F. Is there anything that anybody wanted to pull out in particular? Seeing none, if I could have a mover of the consent agenda as presented. Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Lena. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? And that carries. Perfect. Okay, we have no presentations here today, and so we will move on to item number 4, which is public participation. And we do have Tyler Harper in the room from the Nelson Star. And as you are our one public person, did you have a question or comment for the board during this time? No. Okay. And seeing no other, has anybody ever phoned in or called in or? No. Okay.
We can't.
That's a thing.
Oh, okay. You can't do. No, I just wanted to sure thinking can people be videoed public?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's just strictly recorded.
Thank you. Okay, so unfortunately, we had to reschedule the strategic plan. And can you just tell us what the date is on that again? What did we pick?
I think it was
March.
yeah.
Yeah, March
7th.
March 7th. Okay. So that I'm looking forward to getting that, as I'm sure all of us are, in terms of getting that done. And hopefully everybody is well when we go to meet that day. So there's a number of reports there. So starting on page 23, the BC Association of Police Boards annual conference, and a little information about that. And so basically, it would be great if we could know sooner than later who all is wanting to attend this year, so that we can get in on the early bird registration and things. So I think this has been on our action list for a while in terms of just notifications, so you can look at the dates and see what your availability might be. I did talk briefly with Charlotte before the meeting, and she sort of has at this point booked everybody a room, but it'd be good to know who's going and who's not, and then we can adjust those room bookings accordingly. So if you could get back to Shiloh, if and when you know, that would be super. And I understand that the budget has room for the full board to be attending that meeting. Anybody have any questions? Sue's the expert on that.
I do want to I have an extremely brief report from the last BCAPD meeting.
Okay.
Except that, of course, if I told you anything, I'd have to shoot you, because we had to sign a non-disclosure because we had discussion of the Police Reform Act and what's going on behind the scenes. And to follow on with your comment after my email to everybody, the letter from Mr. Farnworth, it's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
Is really the bottom line. And there was no more, there wasn't anything a lot more substantive than that. But they are consulting seriously with the BCAPB executive as they're, going through their process. So other than that, there wasn't anything of note in the meeting. That was really the strategic plan that the BCAPB worked on with the Watson Group as facilitators will be presented at the conference.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, yeah, I think that, and I think just to follow on that is that I think, mayors and councils are still really pushing at UBCM and every opportunity to try to get more forward movement on police reform. Anytime you see a paragraph that starts as, well, this is a complicated process, you don't really have to read past that first paragraph probably.
It seems to me that there's some low hanging fruit. I wish that some of that would get.
Well, and that was,
resolved.
we have brought that up, Jane, in the past at the public safety meetings that are at UBCM. And, one of the low hanging fruit being that the chair is not the mayor. Yeah.
Not automatically.
Not
Yeah.
automatically.
Yeah, so there are some things I think that really could be done that, and,
It would be easy changes to make.
yeah.
It would look like something's happening.
Yeah.
Well, that would be nice, but I mean, I think that, the unfortunate part is that we are only, a few months out from an election, and I think
That's going to put the brakes on a lot.
that's going to be putting the brakes on, because there's nothing particularly, for lack of a better word, probably sexy about changing the police act. I mean, it's going to be valuable to change it and update it and bring it into the 21st century, but it's not as exciting as announcing $3 or $4 billion for
New housing.
new housing or help. Like, it doesn't really get any votes. I think
Yeah.
we kind of have to be honest about that. That's not a vote getter.
Yeah.
The fact that, I'm going to sit, but I'm going to sit where Lena is, and Lena's going to be the chair. I mean, like, it's not sexy. And then there was an ask in terms of being a sponsor for an event, and I don't know where we are financially and what our past practice has been, because of course I'm still relatively new at this, and we were the hosts last time, so I think that a number of you did a yeoman's amount of work in making sure that it was organized and ran smoothly, and I don't know what the past practice is for other times.
We typically do the coffee break,
Okay,
It's the least expensive.
the least one, yeah.
okay. So is that something that somebody would like to put a motion on the table for now? And
Sure. So move.
okay, that's been moved and it's been seconded. And so we're assuming that the coffee break then is $575. Okay. Okay, that should make them happy that they get that, and that'll be one thing they can get off their program. And then 6C is a call for resolutions. And have we got a date here in terms of when they want them? By March the 15th?
Yeah.
So we have 1 month. We will have another board meeting for then. Does anybody have any, what, the way we do this at City Hall in terms of resolutions to our association meetings is we kind of gather a few ideas and then ask staff if they need some help to flesh them out, or we do a bit more background work and then bring them forward and decide. So we actually just last night decided all of our resolutions for the AKBLG. Again, process, and does anybody have any ideas of?
Most of the things that I think about are police act reform issues,
That's right.
which are already on the table with the BCAPB in terms of advocacy, which is the
Right.
point of these resolutions. So I don't know of anything else.
Well, I guess reflecting back on what Jane just said is that do we look at what we consider some of the low hanging fruit and rate those as potential resolutions, and although they're part of the bigger process that we highlight those going forward, or does anybody see any value of that sort of?
Every time I've gone, a resolution has come up about the mayor not
Yes.
automatically being the chair,
it
and it's
never
been
passes.
defeated every time.
Because the mayor's always.
Because the mayors vote against it.
it. So it's pointless. I
Yeah,
remember
I
my
find
very
that-
first year.
Yeah, I find that very odd. I mean, I'm just thinking, did we submit anything last year? Sorry.
We did.
Restorative justice, I think.
Yeah.
Funding for restorative
Funding for
justice.
restorative justice?
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah,
I can pull last year's and send them out to you.
Yeah, that would be. a good
that would be
reminder,
great, because it could be that there was something there that maybe that no action's been taken and we even want to just send it again. I mean, I know that we had something about transit that we're sending yet again, because if you don't keep
Well,
sending
our-
it, somehow you never get any movement on it.
And RJ is on their agenda for the conference
Mhm.
anyway, so
Yeah.
it might be timely.
It might be.
And Janice, based on the letter from Farmworth and the BCAPV meeting I attended, they're already heavily into advocacy for e-com, which doesn't
Yeah.
affect
Affect
us,
us,
Yeah.
yeah,
but it affects everybody else, and they're
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
up in arms about it. JIBC,
Yeah.
both capacity and cost.
Yeah.
And what was the other one? There was a third one. I can't remember. But in other words, the resolutions would be almost irrelevant because they're already on the table
right.
and,
right.
and they're working on them. So
Well, we won't put too much effort into it. It'd be good to see what last year's ones were, and if something really strikes somebody that we need to, we do have a meeting that we could still put something on the table that we could send off. Yeah, I mean, and that was what consumed most of the meeting last year was e-com and the Justice Institute. That was the big two items.
Yeah.
Yeah, at last year's meeting here, so. Yeah, the ones that never get resolved continue to move on.
Question,
Yes.
just more directed to you three, the JIBC stuff, how is it impacting our department at the moment, other than costs? Like, we're getting the people in that we need to get in, or is there a delay? And
Generally, we've been pretty successful at getting candidates in when we have them to send, so that hasn't been a problem. But yeah, definitely the cost is killing us.
thank you.
So, okay, so no action there, and it's not on here, but just, I just wanted to flag it again. I talked to Charlotte just before the start of the meeting. Under 6, we could have had another one there. Just a reminder about the Canadian meeting, which is August 8th to the 11th in Nova Scotia.
Yes.
it's in Halifax. isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't know, again, where we are sort of budgetary wise on that, but it would be good to know if there are board members, how many would like to go. And again, as early as we could get on that schedule to, make sure that we've got flights at a reasonable cost and a reasonable time to get there and get back. So if people want to turn their head to that, and then we can have a decision about who should go, who might want to go.
Does Nova Scotia have municipal police services, unlike Newfoundland? They hosted last year, right?
Yep. I don't know.
They do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Halifax says, that was just so weird to go somewhere that didn't have policing.
What was the reason? It was because it was where the first meeting was held, right?
it was.
That was why we had it
Yeah.
there. It was where the first, yeah.
Meeting.
Started in Newfoundland, yeah,
Mm.
so they had some point
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so anyway, just to keep those dates in mind, because the sooner that we get, like we kind of knew it, and then by the time we kind of actioned it, we were getting a little bit close to the wire, I thought, in terms of making sure that we have.
We talked about it the year before, but I've forgotten.
Yeah, well, so talking about it
We were
now, and
all going to go, I remember We had the budget and everything. And then by the time we came, that everything had gone up in costs and
Oh, yeah, it was crazy. I mean, those flights were just the flights were crazy. Anyways, okay. So, and then my report. So a couple of things to report on that maybe are not all of you are aware of that will probably impact policing in Nelson. And that is that both the hub, which is the drop-in point for the vulnerable residents of Nelson on Vernon Street, and also it turns out the Redun office are both closed as of March 31st, 2024, which is going to be a significant blow to services for that population.
Why is that?
Funding, I'm trying to get a clearer, funding was cut. I'm trying to get what is it? Was it just the funding isn't sufficient enough to now look at the increased rents, increased costs of things that supplies that they have, food, whatever. So with that, we lose the sort of one-stop shopping, the one place to go in to help with Community Connects for housing. The Nelson Community on Homeless are in there, and we lose one of the overdose prevention sites. So Anchors would be the only site left in town. I know that Redun is concerned. They the space that they had mainly was for their twice monthly meetings of the Redun members. So they're looking for meeting space on a go forward basis. I have reached out, as soon as I'd heard that, I reached out to MLA Anderson. I finally got some contact back from her office today. We are going to try to set up a meeting to see where all of this is going and where, what the funding is, and trying to determine, like, is it a funding shortfall, or did the federal government suddenly stop funding the hub, the Nelson Committee on homelessness? So lots of questions, very few answers, but we're less than 60 days out.
You said March 1st, right?
March 31st.
31st.
Sorry.
have you talked to the Nelson Cares? Like, don't they run the hub?
They have some, the hub, because it is the hub, there's a number of agencies in there. I have also reached out to Jack to see what's.
She may know the scoop.
Yeah, I mean, the door is open. I've had a very brief conversation. She said, we're scrambling and trying to look, and I keep saying, please keep me in the loop. Like, this isn't something where you leave this, you don't leave the city out on this. This has got a very significant impact on the city. So I've reached out to all of the players that I think that can. I need to know the facts. I need to know the facts. Is it they cut the funding, the federal government, or the funding isn't meeting the new increases in rents that are going up and such? So, I mean, we have to have a clear path. It's hard to advocate when you don't know whether or not there's zero money or there's $10, but what you really needed was 15, right? Like, so that makes a difference. The other thing is that, and welcome to the meeting. Chris participated in the. Oh, sorry. I think in his first. What are you talking about? And I think Chris participated in his first Nelson Fentanyl Task Force meeting. Of which, like, as I'm looking at the list here, and I didn't think I got all the names, there was probably, there might have been as many as 30 participants on the phone on Tuesday for the meeting. And what was interesting there is that I learned that we finally have the social worker or the nurse or the Tennille who helps with policing, both the MPD and the
Fiona, I think.
Fiona? Is it
Yeah,
Fiona?
Fiona, yeah.
Did I put that in the wrong spot? Fiona. Good Lord, that's what I get when I like write down all the names and then they start to talk and then I try to write what it is they do next to their, okay, Fiona, anyhow.
So this is jointly responding to mental health calls in the community for both RCMP and NPD, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is, it's a joint project between the two of us. We're still working out some pieces of the governance on that, but the chief knows most about that, so.
So what I would like, Chief, is if we could actually have Fiona come in and maybe you guys can do that together, but it would be nice to kind of hear some first conceptual things. And I was thinking that we do have the opportunity to have a presentation and that maybe next month, I realize it's still early days. What did she say? I think that she's been doing this for like 3 weeks or.
3 weeks, but we've already got, I think, upwards of 10 calls now with her. So it's been a great start.
So is she with the Interior Health?
Mhm.
She
Yeah.
paid, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's answering mental health, people like in distress, like that. Like what's the,
So the connection with that particular program is connected with police. That's where it's supposed to be really aligned, because we do have mental health workers that are out there and they're dealing with cases on the street. But this is to assist police in particular. She will go out and she'll do her own assessments as well, but it's really supposed to be connected with police. So it's pretty valuable to us, obviously, because we deal with a lot of mental health calls where people are in distress, and can really help us in terms of, assisting just de-escalation as well. Sometimes just helping a health worker have that communication piece, but there may be some area of violence or something like that as well. We need to have police there. Can be good, and we work really well together. We're starting to get our program in place anyway to work well together and understand, when the mental health worker is taking over versus when the police is taking over, mental health worker steps back, just depending on the scenario. So we're kind of working out those things right now, but I think, the person makes the position sometimes, and Fiona comes with a lot of experience from Kelowna. So that's why we're seeing like in a very short time, 3 weeks, from what I've seen, it's been really, really good.
So how does it get triggered that she comes to calls? Like, is it through dispatch or something like that?
Right now, it's sorry, Chief, tell me to shut up anytime.
Go ahead. I was gonna say something else, but.
Yeah, right now it's just a call for service. So
She's
for
aware.
us, she's right there
Oh.
in that building. So for Nelson Police, it works really well. Because, some of these calls are emergent and you need to go
Yeah.
quickly. And we've tested it, she's here in seconds.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it's going to work well for the rural Nelson Police Department. But she has also her own vehicle and stuff, so can attend scenes like on her own.
Okay.
Which is gonna be the protocol for going to assist the RCMP, just because.
Yeah.
They can't always guarantee they'll be able to bring her back to town, so they've just kind of made that arrangement up front that she'll meet them there or close by, and they'll have a session discussion on what's happening. Obviously, she has access to different records than we have too, so she can do a quick triage of somebody that we're going to see if we know who it is. And then the other thing that's been useful is she has that ability and authority to make the sort of roadside assessment of whether somebody should be apprehended and taken up to the hospital for a proper assessment. And it's, I'd say it's already saved us time in both situations where, yes, somebody did need to be apprehended under the Mental Health Act and taken to the hospital. And then she has the contacts and kind of knows the system there too. So it's to speed things up a bit. But it's also saved us a few times where we didn't need to apprehend somebody, but she had other possible resources or suggestions of things that would be helpful for the person. So again, it's pretty early stages, but as Chris said, we've already utilized her a number of times, and it's been really advantageous so far.
The hours though are just work time, 9 to 5?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's on the Island Health, or sorry, I keep saying Island
Interior.
Health. Interior Health, thank you, side where they're working out the hours, but and we're trying to provide what data we can on when peak hours would be to help facilitate that. So The hours are just a work in progress right now. Yeah.
I mean, it's great.
It's just one person,
It's great.
so.
One person
Yeah.
can only do so much and it's an improvement over not having anybody. So it's good news. Yeah.
So I would like to see that, on the agenda, just so we can meet her and then we can hear her talk about kind of like what her vision of the program is and how it's going. So, next month or maybe April.
She can decide, maybe ask her when she feels comfortable that she has enough information and, because it's a new program, right?
Yeah.
So give a little bit of time.
Yeah, we'll talk to her and see
Yeah,
what
see
she
what
thinks.
works.
I think she's probably good anytime.
Yeah,
As Chris said, she has quite a bit of
yeah.
experience prior to
Exactly.
coming here, so.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, it's not that we need to see, it's just to hear about how the program, sort of how it works. I mean, I've read some excellent statistics that came in, something that I got on my pad the other day about, I don't know if it was VPD or one of the other attachments that has a psychiatric nurse right in with their 911 and how many calls they've fielded, and like probably better response with that than any other systems that they've got going. So it's just, this is being used in other jurisdictions and it's been very successful. So I think it'd just be good for us to know. And then for any of the public that does participate or listen in afterwards, they can see these forward facing that we're trying to change how we do policing or how we interact with vulnerable populations, that we're not just doing same old. So I think that would be great. So that's my report. If anybody has any questions about anything that I may have missed, feel free to ask. And then I should take the staple off so I can just keep looking from things to things. New business late items. So pages 30 to 37, item number 8, accommodations and awards. And the recommendation is that the Nelson Police Board accept the policy IC010, accommodations and awards, as presented. Is there anything that you wanted to say, Chief, about this policy?
Oh, I think it's good. Raj comment as well, since he
Okay.
wrote the policy, but I think it lays it out, covers everything pretty thoroughly. I don't see any concerns.
I don't have any concerns.
Oh, okay. Okay,
You're supposed to sell it though.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Policy ever.
okay. So, if I could have a motion. Thank you, Devin, seconded by, thank you, Jane. And all those in favor? Okay, great, thank you. So item number 9 is next meeting will be on March the 6th. And at that, I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn. Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Okay, excellent. Wow.